And now we come to the book of Leviticus. Leviticus is one of the strangest books of the Bible. What is it about? It's about holiness. And it's about, especially for us, it's a rather strange. It is about how God laid out the rules so that the Israelites could be holy and therefore they could worship and come into his presence.
The Old Testament isn't intended for anybody other than Israel. He fulfilled the Levitical law already. He is our sacrifice.
Much said about God's mercy, much said about his grace. There is a great emphasis on the fact that God forgives, that he empowers. Almost nothing is said about the law of God, about the judgment of God, about the heinousness of violating his law and the just consequences of such a violation. And so, in a sense, the gospel, which means the good news, is stripped of what is really good because people don't know what is really bad, which makes the good news such good news.
Welcome to Diggin Deeper, a simple Bible study where we dig deeper into the Word of God. Thank you for joining me. I am your host, Billy Ray Parrish. For today's study, we continue in the book of Leviticus, Leviticus Chapter 22, which means we are nearing the end of another book. This is the third book of the Torah and the Old Testament to provide instruction and laws to guide a sinful people. However, as we have witnessed through the first two books of the Bible, God redeemed humanity time and time again. And the same is still true today, but it requires a relationship with a holy God. As you have already learned, Leviticus is filled with many laws that may not seem normal based on today's standards, and while most of these acts are condemned today, not all are, unfortunately. They were not during this period of history. God gives these laws to Israel during this period of history for a reason. Leviticus chapter 21 is made up of 33 verses beginning with verse 1. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto Aaron and to his sons, that they separate themselves from the holy things of the children of Israel, and that they profane not my holy name in those things which they hallow unto me. I am the Lord. Say unto them, Whosoever he be of all your seed among your generations, that goeth unto the holy things, which the children of Israel hallow unto the Lord, having his uncleanness upon him, that soul shall be cut off from my presence. I am the Lord. What man soever of the seed of Aaron is a leper, or hath a running issue, he shall not eat of the holy things, until he be clean. And whoso toucheth anything that is unclean by the dead, or a man whose seed goeth from him, or whosoever toucheth any creeping thing, whereby he may be made unclean, or a man of whom he may take uncleanness. Whatsoever uncleanness he hath, the soul which hath touched any such shall be unclean until even, and shall not eat of the holy things, unless he wash his flesh with water. And when the sun is down, he shall be clean, and shall afterward eat of the holy things, because it is his food, that which dieth of itself, or is torn with beasts. He shall not eat to defile himself therewith. I am the Lord. They shall therefore keep mine ordinance, lest they bear sin for it, and die therefore if they profane it. I the Lord do sanctify them. There shall no stranger eat of the holy thing, a sojourner of the priest, or an hired servant, shall not eat of the holy thing. But if the priest buy any soul with his money, he shall eat of it. And he that is born in his house, they shall eat of his meat. If the priest's daughter also be married unto a stranger, she may not eat of an offering of the holy things. But if the priest's daughter be a widow, or divorced, and have no child, and is returned unto her father's house, as in her youth, she shall eat of her father's meat, but there shall be no stranger eat thereof. And if a man eat of the holy thing unwittingly, then he shall put the fifth part thereof unto it, and shall give it unto the priest with the holy thing. And they shall not profane the holy things of the children of Israel, which they offer unto the Lord, or suffer them to bear the iniquity of trespass, when they eat their holy things, for I the Lord do sanctify them. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto Aaron, and to his sons, and unto all the children of Israel, and say unto them, Whatsoever he be of the house of Israel, or of the strangers in Israel, that will offer his oblation for all his vows, and for all his freewill offerings, which they will offer unto the Lord for a burnt offering, ye shall offer at your own will a male, without blemish, of the beeves, of the sheep, or of the goats. But whatsoever hath a blemish, that shall ye not offer, for it shall not be acceptable for you. And whosoever offereth a sacrifice of peace offerings unto the Lord to accomplish his vow, or a freewill offering in beeves, or sheep, it shall be perfect to be accepted, there shall be no blemish therein. Blind, or broken, or maimed, or having a one, or scurvy, or scabbed, ye shall not offer these unto the Lord, nor make an offering by fire of them upon the altar unto the Lord, either a bullock or a lamb that hath anything superfluous, or lacking in his parts, that mayest thou offer for a freewill offering. But for a vow it shall not be accepted. Ye shall not offer unto the Lord that which is bruised, or crushed, or broken, or cut, neither shall ye make any offering thereof in your land. Neither from a stranger's hand shall ye offer the bread of your God of any of these, because there corruption is in them, and blemishes be in them, they shall not be accepted for you. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, When a bullock, or a sheep, or a goat, is brought forth, then it shall be 7 days under the dam. And from the 8th day, and thenceforth, it shall be accepted for an offering made by fire unto the Lord. And whether it be cow, or ewe, ye shall not kill it, and her young both in 1 day. And when ye will offer a sacrifice of thanksgiving unto the Lord, offer it at your own will. On the same day it shall be eaten up, ye shall leave none of it until the morrow. I am the Lord. Therefore shall ye keep my commandments, and do them. I am the Lord. Neither shall ye profane my holy name. But I will be hallowed among the children of Israel. I am the Lord which hallow you, that brought you out of the land of Egypt, to be your God. I am the Lord. Verses 1 through 10 emphasize the priest's responsibility to maintain ritual purity, prohibiting them from eating holy offerings while unclean, and outlining the consequences of violating this law. Verses 1 and 2 open by emphasizing the priest's responsibility to maintain purity and holiness when handling sacred offerings, lest they profane God's name. The chapter opens with the Lord instructing Moses to tell Aaron and his sons the priests that they must not eat the holy things offered to God, nor profane God's name. Holy things refer to the offerings and sacrifices made by the people of Israel to God, which were considered sacred and set apart. To profane means to make something unholy or unclean, or to treat something sacred with disrespect. Speak unto Aaron and to his sons addresses the priestly lineage, specifically Aaron and his descendants, who were responsible for the religious rituals and offerings in the ancient Israelite society. That they separate themselves from the holy things means that priests, when they are in a state of ritual uncleanness due to contact with death, certain diseases, etc., are not to partake of the offerings dedicated to God, and that they profane not my holy name emphasizes the importance of reverence and respect for God's name and the sacred offerings, which are dedicated to His service. Verse 3 emphasizes the importance of purity and holiness when approaching sacred offerings. It warns that anyone with uncleanness, such as ritual impurity, should not partake in the holy things, or they will be cut off from God's presence, indicating severe consequences for violating this rule. The concept of uncleanness includes various forms of ritual impurity, such as leprosy, running issues, or contact with dead bodies or unclean animals. The requirement for purity underscores the sacred nature of the offerings and the reverence needed when handling them. According to verse 4, a priest who has a defiling skin disease, such as leprosy, or who has a discharge, must not eat the sacred offerings until they are cleansed. Additionally, anyone who touches something unclean, such as a corpse or bodily fluids, must also refrain from eating the holy offerings until evening, and after washing their body with water. Verses 5 and state that anyone who comes into contact with something that can make them unclean, such as certain animals, or people who are unclean, must not eat holy things until they have washed their body with water and the sun has set. These verses detail the conditions under which priests and their families are disqualified from eating the holy foods from the tabernacle. If a person becomes unclean in this manner, they must wait until evening and wash their body with water before they can eat the holy gifts again. Verse 5 states that anyone who comes in contact with the dead body of a person, with any human remains, or who is defiled by a person, shall say, I am defiled by the dead body. I am unclean. Verse 6 elaborates on the cleansing process for someone who has become unclean, meaning that if a person becomes unclean, they must wait until evening and then wash their body with water to be considered clean again and able to partake of the holy offerings. These verses emphasize the importance of maintaining a state of ritual purity and the specific steps required to regain that purity after coming into contact with sources of defilement. Verse 7 states that when the sun sets, a person who has become unclean will be clean again, and may then eat the sacred offerings, as these offerings are his food. This verse emphasizes the importance of maintaining ritual purity and the timing for when a person can partake of holy things after becoming unclean. Priests are instructed to abstain from eating the holy things if they are in a state of uncleanness until they have bathed and the sun has set, after which they may resume eating the sacred offerings. Verse 8 states that a priest must not eat anything found dead or torn by wild animals, as doing so would make him unclean. This law emphasizes the importance of maintaining ritual purity and sanctity in the service of God. The text specifically warns against eating such food to avoid becoming unclean, reinforcing the idea that the priests should adhere to strict dietary regulations to preserve their ceremonial cleanliness. Eating such food was considered a form of defilement, which would prevent a priest from performing their duties in the temple. Eating such food was considered a form of defilement, which would prevent a priest from performing their duties in the temple. Verse 9 emphasizes the priest's responsibility to uphold God's laws and rituals, warning that neglecting or disrespecting them could lead to death, as God is the one who makes them holy. They shall therefore keep my charge highlights the importance of priests diligently following God's instructions and maintaining the holiness of the sanctuary and its practices lest they bear sin for it. And die therefore emphasizes the severe consequences of neglecting or disrespecting God's commands. Failing to uphold their duties could lead to guilt and death, underscoring the seriousness of the priest's role if they profane it. Clarifies that profaning or desecrating something holy, such as the sanctuary or the rituals, is a serious offense that would bring about punishment. And I, the Lord, do sanctify them emphasizes God's role in setting the priests apart for their sacred duties, and that it is he who initiates and completes the process of being made holy. Verse 10 emphasizes the sacred offerings' exclusivity to the priestly family, highlighting their role as mediators between God and the Israelite. And this included guests and hired workers in a priest's home are not allowed to eat them. Verse 11 discusses the conditions under which certain individuals can partake in the holy offerings reserved for the priest's household. Specifically, it allows a priest to buy a slave or servant with his money. And such a person, along with those born in the priest's house, can eat of the priest's food, including the holy offerings. This rule distinguishes between permanent members of the priest's household and temporary residents or hired servants, who are not permitted to partake in these offerings. Verse 12 explains the rules concerning the rights of a priest's daughter to eat of the holy things. If a priest's daughter marries someone who is not a priest, she loses her right to eat the holy offerings. However, if she returns to her father's house as a widow without children, she may again eat of the holy things. This passage highlights the importance of maintaining the purity and distinction of the priestly family and their responsibilities towards the sanctuary. Verse 13 states if a priest's daughter becomes a widow or is divorced and has no children, she is permitted to return to her father's household and resume eating the sacred food offerings, just as she did when she was living at home as a young girl. This allowance emphasizes that she still retains her connection to her father's priestly household, despite her changed marital status. However, the verse clearly states that no unauthorized person may eat the sacred offerings, underscoring the importance of maintaining the sanctity of what was set apart for the priest's family. Verse 12 explains about a priest's daughter who marries a non-priest. And verse 13 explains if the daughter becomes divorced or widowed. Verse 14 explains that if someone eats a holy offering unintentionally, they must add a fifth of its value to it and give the holy offering to the priest. This ensures that the person makes restitution for the unintentional consumption of the sacred offering, maintaining the sanctity and respect for offerings dedicated to the Lord. Unintentional eating is where someone, who is not a priest, accidentally eats something that was designated as a holy offering. The person who ate the holy offering unintentionally must make restitution to the priest. And in addition to the value of the holy offering, the person must add a fifth of its value to the priest. Verse 15 emphasizes the importance of the priests not profaning or desecrating the holy gifts that the Israelites offer to the Lord. It also warns that the priests should not allow the people to bear the guilt of sin through their actions, particularly when they partake of the holy offerings. The Lord sanctifies the priests, meaning He sets them apart for His service, and they are to maintain the sanctity of the offerings. They shall not profane emphasizes the importance of treating holy things with respect and avoiding any actions that would diminish their sacred nature. The holy things of the children of Israel refers to the offerings and gifts that the Israelites bring to the Lord, which are considered sacred and set apart for divine use, and which they offer to the Lord highlights the purpose of these offerings, which is to honor and worship God. Verse 16 states that priests should not allow the sacred offerings to be eaten in a way that brings guilt requiring payment. This verse emphasizes the importance of maintaining the sanctity of the offerings and adheres to God's commandments. The holy things or sacred offerings are those dedicated to God by the people of Israel, which priests were allowed to consume as their portion for their service. Verses 17 through 19 outlines the requirements for acceptable sacrifices, emphasizing that offerings must be without blemish or defect, whether for burnt offerings or peace offerings, to be pleasing to God. Verse 17 begins the detailed regulations concerning the animals that could be used for sacrifices, emphasizing the requirement for these animals to be without any defects. The passage goes on to specify that animals with various physical imperfections, such as blindness, lameness, or skin conditions, were not to be offered as sacrifices, which underscores the importance of offering the best and most perfect specimens to God, symbolizing the purity and completeness of the offering. These instructions were not only for the Israelites, but also for the proselytes, or those who had joined themselves to the Israelite faith, allowing them to participate in the sacrificial system. The regulations were designed to maintain the sanctity and honor of the sanctuary and the sacrificial process. Verse 18, without blemish, or Hebrew as tamim, signifies not only physical perfection, but also a state of spiritual purity and wholeness. And if an animal offered had any defect, it would not be accepted by the Lord, and the offering would be considered unacceptable. Verse 19 states that for an offering to be accepted, it must be a male animal without blemish, whether from the cattle, sheep, or goats. This emphasizes the importance of offering the best, unblemished animals to God. Verse 20 states that any offering to God must be without blemish or defect to be considered acceptable. The verse directly instructs the Israelites that any offering brought to the altar must be of the highest quality, free from any defects or blemishes. Here, we see the importance of offering God one's best and highlights the holiness and purity that God demands in worship. Verse 21 states that when someone offers a sacrifice of peace offerings to the Lord, whether to fulfill a vow or as a freewill offering, the animal must be without blemish to be accepted. This emphasis on perfection in the sacrifice points to the need for a perfect sacrifice, which is fulfilled in Jesus Christ, who offered himself as a perfect sacrifice for the sins of humanity. This verse details voluntary offerings made to express gratitude or to acknowledge God's blessings. The verse states the animal offered must be in perfect condition, free from any defects or imperfections. This highlights the importance of offering the best to God. Verse 22 continues by stating that you shall not offer to the Lord anything that is blind, injured, maimed, or has a wart, festering rash, or scab. Here, the emphasis is on offering perfect and unblemished sacrifices to God, reflecting a broader theme of holiness and purity in worship. The verse reinforces the idea that sacrifices offered to God must be of the highest quality, reflecting the worshipper's commitment to holiness and purity. Verse 23 states that while you may offer a bull or sheep with a deformed or stunted limb as a freewill offering, it cannot be accepted for a vow, emphasizing the importance of offering your best and most perfect gifts to God. The verse distinguishes between a freewill offering, something that is given freely and voluntarily, and an offering made to fulfill a vow or a solemn promise. Verse 24 states that you should not offer to the Lord an animal that is bruised, crushed, or cut, or that has damaged reproductive organs. Such animals are not acceptable for sacrifice. The verse specifically mentions animals that are bruised, crushed, or cut, or have damaged testicles, as unacceptable for sacrifice. Verse 25 states that Israelites should not accept defective animals as offerings from foreigners, because they are not acceptable to God due to their blemishes or mutilations. This verse builds on the previous verse, verse 24, stating that Israelites should not accept such defective animals as offerings from foreigners, even if they were willing to offer them, which emphasizes that God would not accept such defective sacrifices, regardless of who offered them. highlighting the importance of offering the best and most acceptable sacrifices. Verses 26 and 27 instruct that a calf lamb or goat born for sacrifice must remain with its mother for 7 days. And only from the 8th day onward will it be acceptable as a food offering to the Lord. And from the 8th day onward, it is acceptable as an offering by fire to the Lord. Here, it is established a period of 7 days where the newborn animal is considered unclean and not suitable for sacrifice, but after the 7-day period, the animal is deemed clean and can be offered as a sacrifice to the Lord. The phrase offering by fire refers to the type of sacrifice that involves burning the offering on the altar. This law emphasizes the importance of allowing the young animal to bond with its mother and grow before being offered as a sacrifice. This could also imply that it has reached a certain stage of maturity and is fit for sacrifice. Verse 28 prohibits sacrificing a cow or sheep and its young on the same day, emphasizing mercy and tenderness and discouraging cruelty. Bible Study Tools explains that the law is intended to encourage mercy and pity and to discourage cruelty. Verse 29 emphasizes the importance of offering thanksgiving with a sincere and reverent heart, ensuring it is done in a way that is pleasing to God. The key principle highlighted is that when offering a thanks offering, it's crucial to do so with a genuine and respectful attitude, ensuring that the offering is presented in a manner that is acceptable to God. Sacrifice. A thank offering refers to the specific type of offering. A sacrifice offered to express gratitude and thankfulness to God. Sacrifice it so that you may be accepted emphasizes the importance of offering the sacrifice in a way that is pleasing to God, not just going through the motions. Verse 30 instructs that any peace offering meat must be eaten on the same day it is offered, with nothing left over until the morning, emphasizing the importance of respecting the sanctity of the offering and the Lord's instructions. This means that if a peace offering is made, the meat must be consumed entirely on the day of the offering and not stored for the next day. Verse 31 emphasizes the importance of obedience to God's commandments, highlighting that their actions should reflect His holiness and authority. Keep my commandments and follow them is a direct command to the people of Israel, particularly the priests, to diligently observe and adhere to the laws and instructions given by God. I am the Lord serves as a reminder of God's authority and power, emphasizing that He is the source of these commands, and that obedience is a demonstration of respect and reverence for Him. Verse 32 emphasizes the importance of reverence for God's name and holiness in the lives of the Israelites, ensuring they don't dishonor God's name through their actions. The verse directly states that the Israelites should not profane or pollute God's holy name. This means they should not treat God's name or His commands with disrespect or casualness. It also emphasizes that God must be hallowed or treated as holy among the Israelites. This implies that their actions and lives should reflect God's holiness and not bring dishonor to His name. I am the Lord who sanctifies you, or I am the Lord who makes you holy, highlights God's role in making the Israelites a holy people. Their obedience to God's commands and their reverence for His name are essential for maintaining this holiness. Verse 32 warns against actions that would make God's name common or unholy, such as disobeying His laws or treating holy things with disrespect. Verses 33 and 34 concludes by emphasizing the importance of honoring God and keeping His commandments, reminding the Israelites that they were brought out of Egypt to be His people, and that He is the Lord. The phrase, I am the Lord, is repeated to emphasize God's authority and sovereignty. The Israelites are reminded of their deliverance from slavery in Egypt, a pivotal event in their history and a testament to God's power and faithfulness. By reminding them of who they are, God's people, and what they have been called to be, holy, the passage encourages them to live a life that reflects their relationship with God. The repetition of "I am the Lord" reinforces God's identity as the one true God, who is worthy of their worship and obedience. Examples of unacceptable sacrifices: blind, broken, maimed, having a one ulcer, having scurvy, eczema, scabbed, bruised, crushed, torn, cut. And orchestrated acceptable sacrifices: a male without blemish from the cattle, sheep, or goats, an animal perfect to be accepted. We have reached the end of our Bible study today for Leviticus chapter 22. I am excited to be in a new book of the Bible, and we have nearly finished another book of the Bible. I am thankful for each of you for continuing to tune into the program with me. We are beginning to put together an impressive list of programs. The first 2 books of the Bible have been really fun to learn and really deep, but there is so much more to come. There is no telling what the next studies will reveal, so join us next time for our Bible study here on Diggin Deeper, as we simply dig deeper into the Word of God. Before we go, if you liked what you just watched, like and share our content. It really helps us grow. And think about subscribing to our channel, which will help you keep up to date with all of our content. Once again, I am your host, Billy Ray Parrish, and until next time, thank you for joining us. Stay safe and God bless.